When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world.
I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! You're watching SeptumSin vs. the World. I'm SeptumSin. I'm here with Kotobuki Jake.
Hi.
And we're here with another of our fantastic top 15s. So, this time, of course, because February was Kotobuki Jake's birthday month, he was in full control of the lists. But we tossed one in, but he tossed me a bone because it's now March.
Right.
And, so this was my list.
Uh-huh.
So this time I decided, instead of names, because I'm crap with names, I'm going with movies.
Uh-huh.
Not just any movies, Oscar nominees. And these Oscar nominees are individual movies, or people really from the movies, if you're talking Best Actor, who got nominated.
Movies are the individual items. We'll be getting into the nitty-gritty like the actors and that kind of stuff.
So, people and movies that should have probably won at least one of those things that they were nominated for. So these are ones that have been nominated but never won.
They were shut out.
And of course, this is our opinion. Many of you probably agree 100% with the Oscars and their decisions, especially Green Book, because I know everybody out there agrees with Green Book winning Best Picture.
Oh, yeah. It's going to go down as one of the most agreeable, uncontroversial wins ever.
Actually, in a way, with Green Books, actually, though, it doesn't work because every nominee this year had won an Oscar.
Yes. So this year, we could not pick... Well, we did institute a rule that was kind of a last-minute one, but neither of us seemed to have a problem with it.
No.
Which was, we were going to pretend that we are the folks at Criterion, and that we've been watching this channel and listening to our advice, so we did not touch anything from the last 5 years. There were some really big snubs this year, Infinity War. So we really wanted to focus on the ones that have had a little bit of time, so that the public has had a chance to moan and complain about it. And
because there's so many, we will be definitely revisiting this list in the future.
There's so many.
When I've had even more time to fine-tooth comb my way through all of the Oscars.
Right.
So, I guess without any further ado, let's get started.
Yes.
We're going to have to talk fast because we got a lot to cover.
Yes.
So, number 15. Take it away.
15. This is one that I have consistently been complaining about for years and years and years. And you will notice probably a theme on this list. There are a couple that were up for a lot of Oscars. There are several that were up for a few. But there were a few that just got one, and so they went in looking like they were snubbed. And this went in as one of the most baffling snubs ever. David Lynch's Mulholland Drive, which most critics agree is a modern masterpiece. I think, what was it, 7, 8 years ago, I looked at that list, like it was when you were still at the apartment, that there was like a list of the critics were polled of like, what's the best film of the last 20 years or something. Mulholland Drive topped the list by a far margin. It was a huge margin. There was no question. I personally think the film's a little overrated, but it's flippin' awesome regardless. And this film was nominated with one Best Director. This is one of the only films ever nominated for Best Director. They got no other nods. That right there tells you something's weird. And I have stated, and I will maintain until the day I die probably, that Naomi Watts got robbed. This was the film that really put her on the map for me and a lot of art house audiences. The next year, The Ring came out and everyone learned about her. But she was so incredible in this film. She should have won Best Actress, and she wasn't even nominated. That was just so wrong on so many levels. And what's even worse about it, she could have very easily taken one of two slots in the race. This was the year that freaking Moulin Rouge was tearing up the charts.
Unfairly so.
Unfairly so. Naomi Watts should easily have taken that slot over Nicole Kidman. And also, she should have taken... Well, since she should have won, she could have taken any of the slots. But frankly, I do think that Judi Dench, Sissy Spacek, and Halle Berry deserve their nominations. I do not believe Halle Berry deserved the win. Even if Watts had been shut out, Judi Dench still should have won for her performance. But regardless, that's one category. I do want to mention a couple others. It should have been nominated for original screenplay. I mean, come on, this is one of the most original films ever. It could have taken Monster Ball's slot for that. Cinematography. The cinematography was gorgeous. Could have taken that slot for Moulin Rouge or Black Hawk Down. Sound could have taken that for Moulin Rouge or Pearl Harbor. Come on, do you really want to give an Oscar to Pearl Harbor over this? Sound editing. There were 2 freaking nominees. 2! They could easily have had a third nominee. Film editing. It could have taken that for Moulin Rouge or A Beautiful Mind. I wouldn't have minded seeing nominations for Best Picture, Supporting Actress for Laura Elena Haring, Art Direction, Set Decoration, Costume Design, Original Score, Angelo Badalamenti. All of those are harder to call. I wouldn't really push for David Lynch to have won Best Director that year, but it should have won Actress. It should have had several nominations. So this goes down as one of Oscar's most baffling choices.
Well, the only thing I have to add, and if you'll show up that particular version. Now, one of the things I forgot to add in here is because we are a physical media channel, we combined own all 15 of these and a good number of the honorable mentions. So one of the things that we'll probably try and do is also let people know whose copy. Most of them are mine this time around, but I know you own a copy. You probably own a better copy than I do.
Well, no, I think I have this one, but I do plan to upgrade to Criterion eventually. I just haven't done it yet.
Mine's not marked up on. Mine's marked up on the back, but his is probably there. But it's a cool looking thing. So, any case, I just thought that was a cool idea. Just to bring that forward. And matter of fact, the next one on the list I do not own.
And I brought my copy. And next up, we have number 14. I would have said that in Portuguese, but I don't know how. It's 14 in Spanish, right? So it's pretty close. But at any rate, the reason I was saying that, Anderson just decided to block my face with his tail. The reason I was saying that is the next one up is the Brazilian film, which is a Portuguese language film, Cidade de Deus, or City of God. This is a very much, I guess you would call it cinema verite, as they used to say, tale, very documentary feel to it, set in a slum of Rio de Janeiro known as Cidade de Deus, and it is widely regarded as a true masterpiece of a film. I love it. I think it's a great film. It is a very difficult film to watch. Very, very difficult film to watch. My favorite character gets killed, and I didn't like that. But it's a good film. It's got great music, very inventive. It was nominated for cinematography. I thought there was way too much rapid back and forth to really deserve the win. But all told, it got 4 nominations. It got the Best Director for Fernando Meirelles, adapted screenplay, cinematography, and film editing. And it lost Best Director to Peter Jackson for Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. Adapted screenplay to Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. Film editing to Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. You'll see a theme there. Cinematography, amazingly, one of the only categories Lord of the Rings: Return of the King was not nominated for, which is even weirder because the first Lord of the Rings was. Yeah. That award went to Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World. And I meant to say, with Mulholland Drive, I meant to point out that Lynch lost to Ron Howard for A Beautiful Mind, and it's kind of hard to quibble with that, because that was I feel like film. There was a better option, and I will be coming up to it later on the list. But at any rate, Mireles did a phenomenal job with this film. He took basically non-actors and trained them to act. He spent, I think it was 6 months, training a whole bunch of non-professional actors to learn the craft. And he used that to help cast the film. And he apparently did a short film to further help cast the film. And the film centers on a young man named Rocket, who he's right in the middle of things. All the gang wars, all the drug wars. He wants nothing to do with it. He wants to be a photographer. And he manages to be fairly, simple, straightforward. And, of course, there's all these drug wars around him. This dude named Little Zay is a psychotic murderer. His homeboy, Benny, is like real chill, kind of, disco-style kind of character. And then he's in a gang war with this dude, Carrot, and they're mostly turf war, but they're competing drug dealers and that sort of thing. And it goes from there, and it's just a really good little film. Covers, a good stretch of time. What, about 10 years or so, I think? I actually watched this again in preparation for this. It's a good time. This one, because of the structure of the stupid, broken foreign language category, was not even nominated in that category. It should have won Best Foreign Language Feature, no question. And it should have been nominated for Best Picture, probably could have taken Master and Commander's spot. Supporting Actor for Leandro Firmino, could have taken Alec Baldwin's spot for The Cooler. Sound Editing, there were only 3 nominees, it could have taken one. I would have loved to have seen a number of other acting nominations, quite a few. Alexandra Rodriguez, Felipe Higginson, Sue George, Elise Braga. Sound mixing would have been good. Unfortunately, because it was up against Return of the King, it's really hard to say it should have won that many Oscars. It's really hard to call, because Return of the King. Yeah. And Return of the King, unfortunately, to the best of my knowledge, and if you know different, let me know, I'm not aware that any of the music in this was original. The one award Return of the King sure as hell should not have won was original song. This could have easily beat it if any of the songs were original. I just don't know if they were. But, yeah, so that's my take on that one. This is, it was up against very stiff competition, but still should have gotten something.
Did it get a nomination for production design?
No.
That's one I think it should have at least gotten a nomination for. Because a lot of people, when they look at production design, they think about world crafting. And though, yes, they didn't craft the world,
right,
the world that they presented was quite a dark and dreary world.
And actually, I think that was one that I didn't choose it for, and it may have been because it was such a strong category to start. Because I feel like this was a year where that was a really strong category.
Yeah.
I know that was an issue. Like, that was one reason I didn't push for that for Mulholland Drive. Because 2001 was not only the first Lord of the Rings movie, but that was also the year of, if I'm remembering my dates correctly, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Yeah. And that should have won that category. The fact that it didn't is kind of silly. But, yeah.
Actually, if you want, we can put them over here because we'll do it for. We'll have a thumbnail with the ones we're presenting on the side.
Okay.
So number 13. Well, I guess I'm up. Now, this one is pretty simple because it's only capable of being nominated for one thing, which is Best Animated Short Film.
Actually, I have a note on that once you're done.
And that is Night and Day, which is located under two things. You could get one of Pixar's shorts collection, but it's located also on the special features of Toy Story 3, which... it's at the very bottom. You can read Night and Day down there. Now, Night and Day is an amazing feature. It's probably one of the few Pixar films that doesn't look all computer animated. It looks hand drawn. Do you know if it was hand drawn?
I really don't know for sure.
But it doesn't look like a Pixar film.
No. Well, it doesn't really look like any film I've seen. It's very original.
I mean, not only does it have a lot of wonderful music, it also has amazing animation and shows off techniques that, as I said, are quite original in scope. I've watched The Lost Thing, and it's harder to track down some of these short films.
I think I saw that one.
And it was an okay film. But to me, Pixar... Normally, I don't fight for Pixar because they're strong enough without my help.
Lies.
But this is one of those cases where I feel that they should have won. I was shocked, actually, by the loss, and that's a rarity on my part. So this is just my 2 cents. Night and Day, 2010, should have been Best Short Animated Feature.
I don't recall if I saw The Lost Thing. I really can't remember. I remember Night and Day was pretty darn good. Or is it Night and Day or Day and Night? You've got Day and Night.
Let's see here. It is Day and Night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Day and Night.
Okay, Night and Day, Day and Night. It's
It's a good one. It definitely is. Pixar makes wonderful shorts. They really do. But I really have to... I need to double-check the bylaws, but you may have said something in a little bit of a goof there. Because in doing my research, strangely enough, for number 12, number 12 was not even nominated in a category that a short film won. That was a feature-length category. And I'll get to that in a minute. I don't know if they've changed the rules to. We had always assumed short films were only pigeonholed in those categories. It kind of makes it harder to call for a separation of the two.
It might have been in contention for a score nom.
It's possible
because score is definitely something there.
But the scoring branch is notoriously fickle and But anyway, so number 12. In 1956, we saw 2 years after its debut in Japan, which went unnoticed by Oscar. It did not get a foreign feature nod at all, which will shock some of you. In 1956, we saw 2 nominations for Akira Kurosawa's Shichinen no Samurai, Seven Samurai. 2 Oscars. Not in the categories you would expect. 2 nominations, I should say. But just to backtrack for a minute, the only short film to ever win original screenplay came out that year. The Red Balloon did win original screenplay. This should have been nominated for original screenplay. It was not. It should have been nominated for foreign language feature. It was not. It should have been up for Best Director for Akira Kurosawa. Best Picture. You get the point. It did not get any of the nominations it should have won for. You know, I probably would have put, let's see, Seven Samurai. I would have said that it should have won, let's see here, Art Direction, Set Decoration, Costume Design, Picture, Best Director, Foreign Language Feature. Those ones it definitely should have won. I actually would like to see the Red Balloon keep its win just because of its historical importance. But this should have been nominated. The nominations this got, believe it or not, Art Direction, Set Decoration, Black and White, and costume design, black and white.
Not foreign feature?
No. That is all. One of the most famous films ever made, which was remade, and then remade, and then re-remade, is only up for 2 below-the-line artistic awards. It's baffling. And what's more, it lost art direction, set decoration to Somebody Up There Likes Me, and lost costume design to the Solid Gold Cadillac. Now, have you ever heard of either of those movies?
No.
Yeah. I think I've heard of Somebody Up There Likes Me. I think it's like a Rocky Marciano pick or something like that. But I've never even heard of the other one.
Solid Gold Cadillac.
Yeah. Seven Samurai, people.
That'd be expensive set design.
This also should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor for Takashi Shimura. He could have easily taken Mickey Rooney's role for The Bold and the Brave. Supporting Actor Toshiro Mifune, he could have taken Don Murray's for Bus Stop. Best Original Screenplay, like I said, it could have taken a role from Julie or Bold and the Brave. Film Editing, it could have taken a nod from The Ten Commandments or The Brave One. Music, scoring of a dramatic or comedy picture, could have taken it from Between Heaven and Hell, just because who remembers that one? But this is the part that will really get people up in arms. Guess what won Best Picture that year? Around the World in 80 Days. One of the most controversial wins in Oscar history. Even up against what it was nominated. The Ten Commandments, Giant, The King and I. Even, the Seven Samurai, losing to any of those, I think people might have been able to stomach it. But Around the World in 80 freaking days, and not only that, King Vidor won Best Director for Michael Anderson won Best Director. Well, he was nominated for Around the World in 80 Days. King Vidor for War and Peace. He could have had either of their slots. I mean, come on. This has to be one of the most controversial snubs in Oscar history. And I had no idea how badly snubbed it was. It was bad.
Well, not so controversial for the year it came out.
No, but definitely in the years since. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to do the older rule, was so that we could look at like the long term, the long game.
What year was that?
Well, it came out in the U.S. in 1956.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie Chan was still considered popular probably around that time.
Yeah,
so
probably.
I wouldn't say necessarily. It would be controversial in this day and age, darn straight.
Well, yeah. Well, no, even then, from what I understand, Around the World in 80 Days was a controversial win, but it's gotten more so as the years gone on.
Quite a whimsical thing, though.
Oh, it's a fun movie.
Yes.
It's a fun movie. But even though I think Ten Commandments is incredibly overbaked, I think that deserves Best Picture more than Around the World in 80 Days.
Understood on that.
Yeah. And then, of course, The Red Balloon, that should have been up for Best Picture. It would have been a much shorter film than The Ten Commandments.
So do you have you've got the Blu-ray of this, right?
No. I think I have this edition.
That's a cool looking edition.
If you watch, because you did, last week, our pickups, you saw that really awesome Bergman set I got. When they do one for Kurosawa, I'm getting it. And then I will have it on Blu-ray.
I don't know if I could actually get one on the Kurosawa, because I've got most of his catalog already on Criterion.
Well, let's see. I've got Seven Samurai, Rashomon, Ran. I do have Kangamusha separate on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
That one's on Blu-ray. That's the only one so far.
I've got a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
I
got, like I said, several on DVD, but anyway. Okay, and then, it's me again.
Yes.
Yeah, we got a weird sort of order this week, but hopefully you'll be fine with it. So next up, we have the film that should have won Best Director in 2001, and was not even nominated in that category. And, yes, number 11. And I am talking, of course, of Christopher Nolan's Memento. Memento was nominated for Original Screenplay, which it lost to Gosford Park, and Film Editing, which it lost to Black Hawk Down. Now, I will give the win to Gosford Park, because that is a freaking incredible screenplay. This was incredible, but Gosford Park has such wonderful writing.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful writing. But this should have freaking won editing. I like Black Hawk Down. It's a very well-made movie. But this is a film where the editing was the central feature that defined it for what it was. The way, if the film had been edited any different, it would have been totally different. And I guarantee you it wouldn't have caught people's attention the way it did. This is a film that it should have won editing. No question. And I think, I know he disagrees, it should have won Best Picture. At the very least, it sure as hell should have taken the slot Moulin Rouge had in that role.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And you would disagree with me that it should have had Best Director over Ron Howard. I loved A Beautiful Mind. I don't mind that it won Best Director, but I would have liked to see Chris Nolan win. He definitely should have gotten that nomination. But he eventually got a nomination.
Yeah.
Eventually. But I also think it probably should have gotten a Best Actor nod for Guy Pearce. I think he deserved. I cited Sean Penn's performance in I Am Sam as one that could have gone bye-bye. Cinematography, this could have taken the slot from Black Hawk Down or Moulin Rouge. Sound could have taken it from Moulin Rouge or Pearl Harbor. Again, with the Pearl Harbor. And again, Pearl Harbor was one of only two. Monsters, Inc. was the other one, though, up for sound editing.
That
Two!
was a strange one, too.
For sound editing. They should have had this in Mulholland Drive and made 4. I don't know how they can get away with 2 in a category. It makes no sense. And I would have liked to see Joe Pantoliano get a supporting actor nod, makeup. There were only 3. Yeah. Oh, this comes down to my eternal beef with the Academy and 3 makeup nominees. There's no excuse for 3 every single year, except for the years that you have fewer, which there have been. And I think I found 1 year where there were 4. I don't know how they got that past the rules.
Yeah, well.
But anyway, yeah, so that's my thought. I have always loved Memento. I always thought it really got screwed at the Oscars.
How about, tell us about your version of this.
I have a nicer one. Actually, this is a funny thing. I had, I think, this Bare Bones edition, and someone, I think it was Mom, lost it. I don't remember how that happened. But whoever lost it, they replaced it with a really nice bonus version. So
I got this out of the $5 bin.
Yeah. But once again, when they do a Criterion Christopher Nolan collection, I will upgrade.
Well, this is worth upgrading for. Yeah. And I think I've got the complete Christopher Nolan, at least feature films. Because they even have The Following sitting in there.
Well,
which was released in Criterion.
Have you watched that yet?
Not yet.
You will watch that. You will watch that, and you will think Memento's a masterpiece.
Well, I guess now it's up to me to take over for a little while. I've actually got...
You got some good ones.
I've got a little ways to go before we stop. Okay, so number 10.
Ooh.
So this is one that I do believe. It was not necessarily passed up in some, but it was kind of pushed aside in the rush to give Lord of the Rings: Return of the King everything. Another
victim of the Lord of the Rings.
And we're talking about Pirates of the Caribbean, the good one. Or otherwise known as Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl.
When Disney rebrands it, they will call it the good one.
And this is actually a pretty cool edition. Do you have the Blu-ray?
I do.
So you got a little bit better than I do, but I still like these. These are solid editions. I admit, when I saw this film, I was thinking, this is all based off of a Disney World ride. Yeah. It can't be all that good. I was wrong.
I had low expectations myself.
It was a spectacular film. You gotta take yourself out of the time where we've had all the sequels and the character is tired and used up. Because the one I feel like should have won, and though Sean Penn did an excellent job with Mystic River, I still feel that Johnny Depp deserved the win for Best Actor. Just because he did help create this iconic character of Captain Jack Sparrow. Now, yes, again, you gotta put yourself back to 2003. Johnny Depp was not known back then as a failed alcoholic actor who only stars in flop films, as he is today. And Jack Sparrow was not looked at as a tired, redone part. This was the first time that he presented this.
Yeah.
He helped come up with the role himself. And to me, that's deserving of a Best Actor win. Now, it was also up for Best Makeup, which I can give Lord of the Rings for that.
Yeah.
Best Sound Mixing, again, possibly Lord of the Rings, though I still think this one was in contention because it was good. Best Sound Editing, with Master and Commander winning, I think this one was better than Master and Commander.
So they left out Return of the King and sound editing as well?
Yes.
That's really freaking weird.
I was surprised.
That's weird.
That surprises me. It surprised me when Master and Commander won.
What? So Lord of the Rings only won 11 awards when it could have won 13.
And then Best Visual Effects, which Lord of the Rings won. Now, I also feel it should have gotten a Best Original Score nod.
Oh, it had a good score.
It had an amazing score.
Wait,
Again,
who did it? Was it
I don't know, but I do feel like the score.
I feel like it was Hans Zimmer, and I'm not a big Hans Zimmer person.
Because,
but it was good.
Again, you got to keep in mind, this is something that, of course, by now most of you are just used to hearing over and over again. But that also shows you how iconic these characters and stories are.
Klaus Badelt.
Okay.
I don't even know that name. Okay.
But, again, just it's an iconic film. I feel like Disney milking it to death kind of ruined it for a lot of people. But I'm telling you, go back and watch this first one. Ignore the rest, and you'll be good. And also, Jeffrey Rush should have probably gotten a nod for Best Supporting Actor. He did a great job.
He is a great actor, but he was hamming it up like nobody's business. He has in every movie.
That was a part that should have been hammed up.
Really, yeah. I mean, it was kind of a hammed up movie. And in defense, so did Johnny Depp. So, you know, most of them did. And most of the performances were solid. If I were to add anything, I'm pretty sure any potential category I put out, Lord of the Rings would have been a nominee or winner in the category. But I do think costume design might have been a good one.
Yeah.
Production design might have been a good one. I do not agree that Johnny Depp deserved to beat Sean Penn that year. But in terms of longevity, Master and Commander should have been a franchise, and it failed. And then Pirates of the Caribbean was a one-off that turned into a franchise. So maybe it should have beat Master and Commander because of the long-term.
Yeah.
Master and Commander was a good film, and it should have been a good series, but it just didn't make enough money to justify a sequel. It was too bad. You know, kind of like Golden Compass and several other failed franchises.
Well, Golden Compass would have gone off the rails had it continued. Just because it was those last two books were very different from the first.
Yeah. I still would have liked to see them, though. Yeah.
Well, number 9.
Ooh.
Now, this is a version, I don't think there are other versions of this film, which is a shame because it is one of my favorite films.
And I had totally forgotten it was an Oscar nominee.
This was nominated in 1998 for Best Supporting Actor and Best Adapted Screenplay. And we're talking about the 1998 film A Simple Plan. This is one of my favorite films. It's my favorite Stephen King film not written by Stephen King. It is a film about individuals who found a lot of money and how greed itself caused these problems. In a way, I could almost say that it reminded me of kind of a cross between Coen Brothers and Stephen King in the way it was acted, directed, and written.
Well, the fact that it's directed by their buddy Sam Raimi is a big part to do with that.
And Sam Raimi is an excellent director.
Yeah.
First off,
Underrated director.
Gods and Monsters won adapted screenplay. I cannot speak for that because I have yet to see Gods
It
and
is
Monsters.
an incredible film. It is very well written. I do not begrudge that win.
But and Affliction also is an amazing film.
Painful.
And
But
James Coburn did an
oh,
excellent
man.
job. But I also believe Billy Bob Thornton did a wonderful job at his supporting acting role. He really worked outside of the box. I mean, not super outside because he was in Sling Blade. I can't remember. Was Sling Blade before or after?
It was before this.
So, I mean, I could see that a little bit, maybe. But at the same time, I really feel like he deserved something on that. I feel like A Simple Plan could have been at least having a nod for Best Picture.
Yeah.
I think Sam Raimi should have gotten a nod for Best Director. Because, again, to me, this is a spectacular film.
Well, and also bear in mind, talking about controversial wins, 98 was the year that Shakespeare in Love got Best Picture.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people were not crazy about that. Would you put this over Shakespeare in Love?
I liked it better than Shakespeare in Love.
Let's see if I can remember. I remember the nominees for that. It was that, Elizabeth, the Saving Private Ryan, The Thin Red Line, and Life is Beautiful.
Well, see again, all of those deserve to be up there.
They were all good.
I feel like that was a year that they should have had more nominees.
I would potentially put this over Elizabeth, honestly, out of the bunch. Because Elizabeth was really good, but it was kind of a stodgy period piece. It wasn't as interesting as the others. I love Shakespeare in Love. I just agree it should not have won Best Picture. Thin Red Line, Saving Private Ryan, both brilliant war
All of
films.
those
Life
films,
is Beautiful is
yeah.
wonderful.
Life is Beautiful should have won Best
yeah.
Picture that year.
Now, as far as the ones that we did see here, both James Coburn and Ian McKellen was nominated for Gods and Monsters. Although I think he was up for Best Actor. So never mind. So Coburn, definitely, I'm not going to begrudge that. He was a great actor. I think that was the only nod he ever got, and he sure deserved it. So it's hard for me to say what A Simple Plan should have won without more research, but I agree it should have gotten a lot more nominations. It really should have.
It was an excellent film, and that was surprising.
Yeah.
Now, number 8. So,
Speaking of Billy Bob,
one that was up for number and got a Criterion release of all things, so it's an awesome film, right?
yes, exactly.
We are talking about the 1998 film Armageddon. Now, it was up for Best Sound, which Saving Private Ryan won. Best Effects Editing, Saving Private Ryan won. Best Visual Effects, What Dreams May Come won. And Best Original Song, Prince of Egypt won with When You Believe, which is a strong song.
It is.
But though I am willing to give the others to where they are, I believe I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, I think is the name of the song.
I Don't Want to Miss a Thing.
Should have won against that.
God, yes.
Because that song, I don't really hear a lot of When You Believe, but
I think
this
people have
song-
forgotten that movie.
I nearly forgot that movie. But at the same time, I think that song in and of itself, the fact that it was Aerosmith's first number 1 song, which was not written by Aerosmith, which is even weirder. It was the first time they hit number 1. They've hit number 1 with albums before that, but never with individual songs. And this was the first time that had happened. This thing was everywhere. And even to this day, it is memorable. But even if you took out the staying
And it had
power,
lots of covers and all this.
It's just-
I have a Mark Chestnut version in my collection. I think there were 3 or 4 other big covers.
that's really the only one I feel like it should have won. But I feel strongly that should have won.
Oh, yes.
And
If you've seen our previous videos, Diane Warren this year is now 10 or 0 for 10 for original song nominations. She could have broken that streak early with this one, and
I mean,
she
this was
should
one
have.
of her biggest snubs, actually.
That is her biggest snub. Now, I'll grant a couple of the others were pretty damn big too, but this is arguably her biggest snub.
Do you have this version of the film?
I do, I think.
It's just kind of
I
fun
always
having
forget.
it on Criterion.
Yes, it's so wonderful. So wonderfully bad. And I will admit, I have seen What Dreams May Come, and it is a gorgeous film, but it's kind of not exactly the strongest film.
I think that visual effects, I do give What Dreams May Come.
Okay.
To me, it was visually spectacular. All of the paint that they were using for the heaven scenes, it just was an amazing film to behold. Otherwise,
That's true. This was a
wasn't,
more conventional Michael Bay blow stuff up sort of thing.
Like
That's
I say,
true.
if you were talking other categories, I would agree. But
If there was an Oscar for pyrotechnics,
oh, he would win hands down for that. And reuse. Oscars of reuse of footage, captured footage.
oh yes, best use of found footage. There you go.
So, we're getting down to the top 7. And the reason why I'm saying top 7 is because this time we have 7 films that were in common.
Amazing.
So, it's only apt that number 7 be 7.
yes, it's appropriate.
And this is an awesome addition. I mean, you take this apart, it has this notebook.
It's
and
really cool.
It unfolds, and then everything falls on the floor, and, you get to pick it up like a true detective.
Yes.
But this one was a spectacular film, and only got nominated for film editing.
Yes.
Which I think is a shame.
Yeah.
And also had excellent film editing, but it was Apollo 13's year.
Yeah.
This is a 1995 film, and Apollo 13 was riding high at the time. Do you have this edition of the film?
I believe so.
And it's just such a cool edition.
It
I
is.
hate upgrading to that one until they can get me a better looking edition.
Yeah.
But there were so many cool areas. I mean, direction. I think that the acting was really good. Gosh, I got it. Brad Pitt did an excellent job. Morgan Freeman did an excellent job with it. Gwyneth Paltrow. All of these were quite amazing acting jobs. The writing was excellent. It could have gotten a writing nod. I really feel like this one was passed over. I was introduced to this by a woman I was dating a while back. She was big into this in World of Warcraft, and I couldn't stand World of Warcraft, but I really liked this. So at least I can say I had something positive to take away from that particular.
And as much as you say you do not care for police procedurals, that's essentially what this is. It's one of the standard bearers for the genre. It really is one of the best ones.
It's one of the more intense police procedurals.
Oh, yes,
though.
it is. And it's probably one of the few films that will not suffer upon current conditions regarding Kevin Spacey, because the role he plays in the film, you probably will almost appreciate it more. But for me personally, I said it could have taken Babe's slot for Best Picture. Babe was fun, but it wasn't. It was not better than
Babe,
Seven.
yeah.
The best director, David Fincher, could have taken Chris Noonan's slot for Babe or Mike Figge's slot for Leaving Las Vegas.
I don't know about that. Leaving Las Vegas was an excellent film.
Yeah, but it was more on Cage than... But I guess Figgis for being able to control Cage. So Best Actor, Morgan Freeman. You would probably agree with this over Massimo Troisi for Il Postino.
Well, yeah.
Or Anthony Hopkins maybe for Nixon. Original screenplay over Braveheart or Nixon. I do think with all the controversy over the Braveheart screenplay, Seven should have had that slot. Visual effects, there were only 2 nominees that year.
What, really?
Yeah, it's freaking messed up. There were only 3 for sound editing. There were 3 for makeup, of course.
Batman Forever?
Yeah, for sound, I said Waterworld or Batman Forever could have made way for 7. And then cinematography, in all fairness, I've not seen Shanghai Triad or Little Princess, but I gave them the X because 7 is awesome cinematography.
Truly the best 2 films of the year. those two.
Well, Little Princess is supposed to be really good.
Yeah.
And I also would have liked nominations for Brad Pitt, Gwyneth Paltrow, costume design, art design, original dramatic score for Howard Shore. I did listen to the scores. Howard Shore does a great score, but I couldn't say that it was better than the others. I can say definitely Braveheart's score was better. But there were a few others. But yeah, that was a curious thing I do want to mention. Almost all of David Fincher's films, I think Curious Case of Benjamin Button was the exception.
Yeah.
Almost all of his notable films had one Oscar nomination and no wins. And another major one was Fight Club, and I very much considered that for the list. There, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
back to 1960 for number 6.
Yeah.
So, we have Psycho, the original, which is in this beautiful collection from
The only
Alfred
one that
Hitchcock.
counts. Yes, it's fuzzy.
It is. It's this red velvety collection. It is a beautiful collection.
Yes.
I know I know positively you have this.
Oh, yes,
exact
I
collection.
wanted that set. It is cool.
And it opens up, as you can see, to reveal these nice things in here. And let's see here. I know we have
So is this
Psycho.
14
Psycho
films,
is in
isn't
here.
it?
Yeah.
14 film
It's an
set.
amazing set. This is the one with Psycho in it.
Mm-hmm.
And beautiful set. I forgot how.
Real quick, let's also note that Vertigo could have been on this list.
Yeah. I mean,
And
this
Rear
is-
Window.
I keep forgetting how well put together this set
Yeah.
is. It just you don't see them made like this often. So, any case, Psycho was up for Best Supporting Actress for Janet Leigh, which Elmer Gantry, Shirley Jones won from Elmer Gantry. Then we have Best Director. Was the Best Director for black and white, or was it the cinematography for black and white?
Director was never split between black and white and color.
Because they like to do that.
But cinematography and art direction were split between black and white and color.
So, but again, Best Director Alfred Hitchcock versus the winner being Billy Wilder for The Apartment. Best Cinematography, which was won by Sons and Lovers, and Best Art Direction, which was won by The Apartment.
It was pretty much The Apartment's year, although
And-
Gantry and Sons and Lovers did well.
The Apartment was a good film, but I feel like, but to me, Psycho was a better film.
Yes.
It was one of Alfred Hitchcock's best works. Not his best necessarily, but it was one of his best. And on top of that, the performances were amazing. I feel like Janet Leigh, and again, I have to rewatch Elmer Gantry. It's been a while. But I really feel Janet Leigh was overlooked. But again, that one I would have to revisit Elmer Gantry for. I haven't seen it in a while, so I'd have to compare. But she did an exquisite job. At the same time, the individual who played, what was his name?
Played
Bates.
Anthony Perkins.
Anthony Perkins.
He was a huge snub.
I'm surprised that he didn't get an actor nod, especially with the performance he pulled off, which
unbelievable.
was amazing. And the cinematography was quite amazing in this film. Alfred Hitchcock, for all that he was, and there was a lot of negative to Alfred Hitchcock, don't get me wrong, but he was an excellent director, and he knew film. He really knew film. He was one of the masters when it came to this, and one of the masters of suspense, just in general. So it is kind of sad to see that this film did not get the love that it deserved. It should have even gotten, I think it should have gotten the score nod as well, because the score was also good.
And I did mention that as one.
And production design. Again, the Bates Motel, the House on the Hill, these are famous landmarks that kind of got, that have been reused a lot, but still amazing pieces.
Yeah, I personally said he should have won for Best Director. Hitchcock never won for Best Director. And most of his films barely got nominated. When they did, Rear Window, Vertigo, and Psycho were all multiple nominees that were shut out at the awards. And there were several that weren't even nominated. I do agree he should have won Art Direction, Set Decoration. He should have won Picture. Should have been nominated for Picture.
Should have been nominated.
Yeah, over the Alamo or the Sundowns or Downers probably. Anthony Perkins should definitely have been nominated for Best Actor. Over Trevor Howard maybe for Sons and Lovers or Laurence Olivier for The Entertainer. Should have been nominated for Adapted Screenplay, Film Editing, the Score, the Sound. There were several that could have gotten the axe for those. It's just, and I would have liked nominations for the Costume Design, Black and White. I mean, it just was such a great film. It just, unbelievable that it got shut out, you know?
That's so bad.
And speaking of masters of filmmaking that most people will be surprised, perhaps shocked to learn, never won an Oscar. Number 5. We have a film by Stanley Kubrick, who never won an Oscar. Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. I love this film. This is one of my all-time favorite films. It is my favorite Kubrick film. And it was nominated for 4 awards. It was nominated for Best Picture, which it lost to My Fair Lady. It was nominated for Best Director. Stanley Kubrick lost to George Cukor for My Fair Lady. Best Actor, Peter Sellers, lost to Rex Harrison for My Fair Lady. And Adapted Screenplay lost to Beckett. Now, I've never seen Beckett, and I need to. I love My Fair Lady, but I'm sorry, My Fair Lady should not have beat this for any of those 3 awards. I give this one the edge for Adapted Screenplay, too, just because it's such a great screenplay. I think it should have won for Art Direction, Set Decoration, Black and White. Could have taken that from 7 Days of May or Americanization of Emily. Should have been nominated for Supporting Actor for Sterling Hayden. Should have been nominated for Cinematography, Black and White. Costume Design, Black and White. Film Editing. Effects. Sound Effects. Once again, only 2 nominees in that category. Effects. Visual Effects. 2 nominees. Or the Sound. One of the big winners that year, or big nominees that year, was a Cary Grant comedy called Father Goose, that based on what I know of it, probably would not go over well nowadays. So maybe it could have taken some of those nominations. Among other, I've never seen half of these films. Hush Hush, Sweet Charlotte, The Americanization of Emily. I've never seen Fate is the Hunter. I've never even heard of a couple of them. And Costume Design could easily have taken the spot. One of the lowest rated films of the year was up for Costume Design. It was called Kisses for My President. This could have easily taken that slot, you know. And I'd have liked to see George C. Scott get a nod, and they used to have a category. I think maybe they should consider it. Music, Adaptation, or Treatment. That would have been a major Kubrick category there, because he loved his found music.
Yeah.
So This just got totally gypped in the final analysis, but it got some important nominations, I'll give it that. But, yeah.
It's sad because Kubrick is, for the controversial nature of him, he is one of the masters of the craft.
Was.
Or was, yeah. His ghost might be trying to make another film. You never know.
Yeah, I could see him being like, is it Professor Binns in Harry Potter who's still teaching?
But, it is kind of sad to see that he did not get the Academy's love. I mean, to me, he was everything that the Academy was.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't know. Just like with Hitchcock. One of the masters. What's your version of this? Is it? Did you get the Criterion?
No, not yet. I wanted to. But at this point, I'm almost waiting for a Kubrick, because it's a matter of time.
It is a matter
of time. You know
it's
a matter of time. But I've been really slow about trying to get his complete collection, which is sad because there's so few of them. But I do have a version of Dr. Strangelove. And then next up, number 4. This one's kind of an oddity. It actually would have been higher, except I put it a little lower on the list. And part of the reason why, even though it's one of my all-time favorite films, we just covered it a few weeks ago on Inside Movies Galore, and we had a really good discussion with it, and that is Rob Reiner's The Princess Bride. And the reason why I put it a little bit lower is that the film had only one Oscar nomination, and I cannot really truly contest that it lost that nomination. And that is, it was up for original song, Willie DeVille's wonderful song Storybook Love, which is great. It's wonderful. Every time I hear it at the end of the movie, I get kind of nostalgic and misty-eyed and all that stuff. And it's a wonderful way to finish the film. It's a wonderful way to cap it off. It just kind of plays you out the way a good ender song is supposed to do. But I've only listened to it a few times on its own, and most people know it exactly through the movie. And it lost to a song from Dirty Dancing, which that is kind of dirty, and I don't really like that. But the song was I've Had the Time of My Life.
The song was spectacular.
And come on, that is like, if you were alive in the 80s, you heard that song a few hundred times.
Oh, yeah.
If you been alive since then, you've heard that song a few hundred times. Even if you've never seen Dirty Dancing, and I think I've seen it all the way through once, you've seen that song in more movies than you can probably count, because they use it so much in movies as a nod to Dirty Dancing, or just as a nod to the 80s, or what have you. It has become synonymous with movies in the 80s in the way that the best big hit songs do, the way that the Oscar wants original songs to go, even though they consistently fail to nominate the songs that are big hits. But I love Storybook Love, but it's hard to make the argument it should have won.
Yeah.
But the movie really, really should have won for the guy who helped put that song together and didn't even get a nomination for his efforts, who did the score. Mark Knopfler should have won for original score for this film. There are no two ways about it.
Oh, awesome score.
It was a phenomenal score. I have listened to bits of a lot of the scores from that year. It was one of the many years where John Williams had 2 nominations. John Williams, you don't need 2 nominations every year. He could have easily sacrificed one, and I picked The Witches of Eastwick as one of those. And not to add insult to injury, Raising Arizona should have been in that category too, and it wasn't. But this film also should have won for Best Picture. It could have taken Hope and Glory, because honestly, who remembers Hope and Glory? Adapted Screenplay. This should have won Adapted Screenplay.
What won Adapted Screenplay?
I don't remember what won, but I put down The Dead or Fatal Attraction as possible ones that could have gone. I think it might have been... No, I don't think it was Fatal Attraction that won. No, I don't think it was Moonstruck that won. I don't remember which one won. But this should have won Best Picture, Adapted Screenplay, and Original Score. Rob Reiner should have been nominated for Best Director. I think Carrie Ells should have been nominated for Best Actor, Robin Wright for Actress, Mandy Patinkin for Supporting Actor. This was the year of Moonstruck. I've seen Moonstruck, and yeah, give it to Cher or Nick Cage. I'm sorry, Vincent Gardenia, I can't even remember him. So give that to Mandy Patinkin, you know. Art direction, set decoration, you might disagree that I put Radio Days on the chopping block, but, you know, whatever. Costume design, film editing, makeup, sound. There were 2 makeup nominees that year. Come on, Miracle Max was worth a makeup nomination. And then I would have liked to see nominations for supporting actor for Chris Guest, Chris Sarandon, Andre the Giant, and I'd like to see a cinematography nod. This one could have had so many Oscar nods. It deserved much more than one that it was guaranteed to lose. I mean, that was just nasty of the Academy.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Were you trying to see what might have...
Yeah, I was looking for that year. But, yeah, I mean, definitely adapted screenplay. If anything, adapted screenplay.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe they figured William Goldman already had 2 Oscars, but I'm like, nah, come on. I mean, actually, it is notable that year was the year that Jack Nicholson and Meryl Streep were in a movie together And of course, they were both nominated for Oscar. So it's like, you know.
And talk about years that one particular film dominated at the Oscars. We go to our number 3.
Yes.
Which is my last presentation on the list.
Yes.
And that is Shawshank Redemption.
Yes.
As far as Princess Bride, he has the same set I do.
Yes.
And if you saw it, you probably would have seen it on our pickups.
Yes.
Do you have this version, or do you have a better version?
Ooh, probably that version. I don't really know if there is
one of those old snap cases.
Yeah.
I mean,
that I will upgrade to Criterion if I get the chance to.
It's been on it's been at the top spot nearly on IMDb for a long time.
Oh yeah.
And on top of that, it was nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Cinematography, Best Sound, and for Best Film Editing.
You should note actor for Morgan Freeman.
And original score.
Because it could be confusing otherwise.
Morgan Freeman for the Best Actor. Which, of course, Tom Hanks won that for Forrest Gump.
Yes.
Best Picture went to Forrest Gump.
Yes.
Best Adapted Screenplay went to Forrest Gump.
Yes.
Best Cinematography went to No, just kidding. Legend of the Fall.
Yeah.
Best Sound... First off, if anything, it should have won over Speed for Best Sound. Best Film Editing, Forrest Gump, and Best Original Score, The Lion King. Lion King does get it over that.
Now, a side note, though, this is one of the 14 films Thomas Newman has been nominated for, and he still hasn't won. Poor Thomas Newman.
Best Film Editing, again, that one I think could have been one or the other. Best Adapted Screenplay, though, I feel like this one should have taken it over Forrest Gump for Best Adapted Screenplay.
Oh, yeah.
This was by a novel by Stephen King, who you don't usually associate with these types of films.
That was a short story, wasn't it?
Yeah. And they did an excellent job.
Yeah.
And if you consider what adaptations have done in the past with Stephen King films, Stephen King books, this is actually an amazing
Also,
movie.
I should note, I still have not read Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. I want to. But I have read Winston Groom's Forrest Gump. And personally, I think the movie is much more enjoyable, much more likable. The book is not very likable. But if you're looking at adaptation in terms of fidelity to the source material, Forrest Gump is a piss-poor adaptation. Because it's not very faithful to the source material.
But again, I feel like this was an excellent film. It really is sad that it did not get any wins. And if worse came to worse, I still feel it could have won Best Sound. That way I wouldn't have had to get Speed. And then it could have won Best Adapted Screenplay. I think Forrest Gump had enough awards at the time.
This is the one where I said I had a secondary thing. I think this one should have won Best Actor for Morgan Freeman, and it sure as shit should have been, sure as hell should have been nominated for actor for Tim Robbins, who actually has a bigger role. He could have taken John Travolta's slot. I'm sorry, I like him in Pulp Fiction, but whatever. And I do think this should have won Adapted Screenplay. However, Best Picture, Best Editing, I'll give to Forrest Gump. Best Picture and Best Sound, I give to Pulp Fiction. That should have won those 2 awards.
But I think it did win an award that year, didn't it?
Pulp Fiction got original screenplay, yes. And then I would also say that definitely Frank Darabont should have been up for Best Director over probably Woody Allen or Robert Redford. Woody Allen was up for Bullets Over Broadway, Redford for Quiz Show. They're both great films, but they're not quite in the same level. Supporting actor, I picked James Whitfield as a possible supporting actor who should have been up. Art direction, set decoration, costume design, makeup, sound effects. Only 3 sound effects that year. There were only 3 makeup, of course. And a long shot, Bob Gunton for supporting actor would have been good. I do think, I had trouble saying, I think Legends of the Fall was so gorgeous. I give that the cinematography. And I do think, like I said, Forrest Gump, the editing they did, it deserved that. But, and yes, Morgan Freeman should have. I love Tom Hanks, but Forrest Gump is not his strongest performance by a far sight. But
This was the Forrest Gump year. That was the thing.
And it did allow him to be one of the only actors to ever get consecutive wins. So more power to him, I guess.
So these last ones are yours. So I'm going to say it because I'm not up for anything else on this. So number 2.
And this was a film that got treated by number 2 by the Oscars. Now, it did have 3 important nominations, but
I did consider the Russian adaptation of this as a potential as well, because it was
Russian
nominated
one was
for
pretty good.
Because it was nominated for foreign language.
Yeah. And we, of course, are talking about Sidney Lumet's 12 Angry Men, which he has as this really neat little collection here called Cinema Greats.
Nice little taste set.
Yeah, but
it's got a Stanley Kubrick film in that too.
Yeah, this has Bridge Too Far, Judgment in Nuremberg, and Paths of Glory. And Judgment in Nuremberg showed up on one of my ones I was looking at. I can't remember which one. But anyway, so 12 Angry Men was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director for Sidney Lumet, Best Adapted Screenplay, and it lost Best Picture to Bridge on the River Kwai. It lost Best Director to David Lean for Bridge on the River Kwai. It lost Adapted Screenplay to Bridge on the River Kwai.
I see a pattern.
I see a pattern too. Now, I will admit, The Bridge on the River Kwai is a freaking awesome film. I like it almost as much as this one, but I like this one better. So what I would say is, because it's such an epic film, I would have let David Lean keep the director nod, but give this Best Picture and Screenplay. I think that would have been the way to go. In addition, it should have been up for Supporting Actor for Henry Fonda, Supporting Actor for Lee J. Cobb, Art Direction, Set Decoration, Film Editing, and Sound Recording. I mean, the fact that this got no acting nods at all? What the hell? I mean, it's one of Fonda's best performances. It's one of Lee J. Cobb's best performances. And there were a lot of others. I said there could have been nominations for Jack Warden, George Voskovec, Martin Balsam. You could have gone through the whole cast and made a nod for any one of them getting a nod. Cinematography and costume design would have also been possibilities. This was such a great film. It's a masterclass in simple, contained filmmaking. And he mentioned the Russian film 12, which was up for foreign language feature. That could potentially end up on one of these lists down the road, because it was one of the best foreign films I've seen in the past several years. It's a faithful remake that adds to it without detracting, which is a hard thing to do for a remake. But I can't believe this only.
Now, you have this on DVD, or do you have this?
DVD.
Okay.
Have they
got a Criterion on the release?
They do, and I've put several bids on eBay auctions for the Criterion. I just haven't won it yet. So, one of these days.
Well, so before we get to our number 1 spot, we're going to, of course, take a moment for some honorable mentions.
Yep.
Because of our last video, we're going to be brief, but it'll come back in another list.
Roll that lovely footage. That was brief, wasn't it?
It was brief.
It's even briefer when we agree on so many of the choices.
So we had some pretty cool honorable mentions this time.
And if we do this in the future, they will be on the first to look at. And then the final one, the number 1, my number 1 film of all time, was nominated for a whopping 2 Oscars for the 2000 year. And that was the Coen brothers' Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It was nominated for Adapted Screenplay, which it lost to Steven Soderbergh's Traffic. And it was nominated for Cinematography, which it lost to Ang Lee's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Now, I will say, I have a hard time saying it should have beat Crouching Tiger. Both films are phenomenal camera work. It is really, really hard to say that it should have beat Crouching Tiger. But as much as I love Traffic, and I love Traffic, Oh Brother is a better adaptation. Even though the Coens have famously said they've never read the Odyssey, they did manage to take so much of it and put it in a blender with Southern mythology, and the melding of Southern and Greek mythology and mythological tropes and everything. It's so good and such a well-written movie. It should have won. And personally, I would have given it Best Picture, and it could have taken the spot of the film that won that year. This is a much better film than Gladiator. But it was a particularly strong year. The other nominees were Crouching Tiger, Chocolat. What was the other one?
Chocolat was another one that almost made my list.
Yes. So Rachel Portman's score is phenomenal in that film. Although Crouching Tiger won, and its score is phenomenal.
Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is one of those candidates for one of your ones that you wanted to add.
Yes, we'll get to that in just a moment. But also, it should have been up for Best Director for Joel Coen.
Yeah.
I think that was the other Best Picture one, was Billy Elliot. Stephen Daldry was great with Billy Elliot, but I would have given Joel Coen that nod. And the only nominations, I think, for sound... No, sound, I would have taken out The Patriot or U-571 and given it to that. But should have been nominated for Art Direction, Set Decoration. Come on, it should have been up for that. Costume Design. 102 Dalmatians was nominated for Costume Design over Oh Brother, Where Art Thou. What is wrong with this picture?
Well, they had to make her coat out of real Dalmatians.
Yeah. Film editing. That was a hard choice, but this film should have gotten an editing award. I put Wonder Boys on the chopping block, but I love Wonder Boys, so that was a hard choice. Makeup, 3 nominees. And that year there were only 2 nominees for sound editing. So it should have been up for that. And I would have liked to have seen nominations for supporting actor for Tim Blake Nelson, supporting actress for Holly Hunter, and for visual effects. But the supporting actress category was particularly stacked that year. It was hard to pick one. That was the year, of course, with your what's her name? Kate Hudson and some other fun ones, 2 from Wonder Boys for that one. No, it was 2 from Almost Famous, because Frances McDormand was the other one. So this was a film that could have been up for quite a lot. He was talking about use of music in film, and again, this is one of the poster children for that award. This is a film that technically had almost no original music. It had a lot of original spins on older music. Yeah. There were a lot of original recordings, but the Academy's really snooty when it comes to borrowed music.
I think that's the film I have bought the soundtrack the most often for.
This is one of the best-selling soundtracks ever. If not the best-selling.
It was a good gift.
That's for a good reason.
Many people loved that soundtrack. Both my grandfathers loved the soundtrack to death.
A lot of people like the film, even people who don't like the Coens. And this is not the only Coen Brothers film. I almost put Barton Fink on my list, and there was one more. Oh, the big one was True Grit. 10 nominations and not a single win. But, it always burned me that this one only had 2 nods. But anyway, that's our list.
It was underappreciated, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
So, I hope you've enjoyed this rundown, and thus ends this year's Academy Awards content.
For now.
So, we will be concluding this and continuing with our regularly scheduled programs, starting next week with our vlogcast.
Yes.
And something special that we will prepare and hopefully talk to you about in the vlogcast.
Yes.
So,
but as for this one, though, as always, if you think that we just completely missed the boat, there were some that we definitely should have mentioned, or that we definitely should spend more time on, or you're like, no, you are wrong. Speed and Waterworld and all those films definitely should have been the winners. Then let us know.
Well, and there were definitely, and again, I would not be surprised if you could come up with something, and I would say, you're right, not Speed, but because there were so many, and I really didn't get even into the depth of the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, other than just like a few, and I need to get into that. I'm going to dig into it, and the next time we come back to this list, I'll be prepared.
And I know a lot of people think the Oscars are already bloated and overlong, but one of the reasons I'm pushing for more categories is so that fewer films will get snubbed. Because it's nice to share the wealth, you know what I mean?
Except for the popular film category.
No popular film category. That is stupid. Now, apparently the stunt people category has been submitted for consideration many times, and they voted it down many times.
One of these days.
One of these days. But again, one of the fun things about this is looking at the categories of yore and seeing which ones fell by the wayside, and a couple of them need to come back.
So, with that being said, like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you on the next one.
Bye.